Andie Burjek. I'm an associate editor at Workforce Magazine, and we're here live at the Society for Human Resource Management annual conference in Chicago. Right now I have Liz Supinski. She is the Director of Data Science for SHRM Research. SHRM today released their annual benefit study, and she's here to talk about some of the major takeaways. So Liz, what are some of these major takeaways that employers can get from these survey results?
I think the real big news this year is a lot of change. About a third of employers have increased their benefits this year, but we look at about 300 benefits in our benefit survey. And last year, between 2016 and 2017, about 20 of those changed. This year, more than 60 benefits changed.
Wow.
So there's a lot of change going on, and I think that's really driven by the employment picture right now. The job market is really strong. Employers need to find a way to attract and retain talent.
Fantastic. And I guess what are some of these areas of benefit that maybe did change this year that didn't change last year?
So there's a lot of small things, but overall there's a lot of things going on. It's not so much necessarily the broad areas, but sort of the way the picture looks. So, in the healthcare arena, we see some changes from some of the older kinds of health plans to some of the newer kinds of health plans, some fairly substantial increases in some of those. Again, in the wellness area, we see some changes in what kinds of programs are involved in there. So, across the board, there's a lot of, I think, much more customization of benefits. And I think that really reflects partly that we have, this very multi-generational workforce at this point who have a lot of different needs. And so employers are really looking to build benefits packages that they can use strategically, to attract and retain different kinds of talent.
Okay, fantastic. And I guess as somebody who does do this research, was there any changes in any benefits offerings at all that surprised you or that you think are especially noteworthy or just a large change?
I think one thing that was pretty interesting to me is that paid parental leave was something that increased in all categories. So we saw more paid maternity leave, more paid paternity leave, more paid leave for adoption, for surrogacy, for other categories of parenthood. And I think that's an interesting change to see when we know that the U.S. has lagged behind some of the rest of the world in the way we treat parental leave.
Yeah, and that's a really promising thing to hear, especially doing research on that a lot. Obviously, we are really far behind, so it's really promising that employers are jumping on that bandwagon.
Yeah, and I think, again, the battle for talent is really getting intense at this point, and employers are starting to understand that they've really got to work in that range. And, we've heard a lot about wages being fairly stagnant, but we are seeing this increase in total compensation in many organizations, or even for organizations that aren't able to increase total compensation, ways to make compensation packages more tailored to individuals and more appealing for that reason.
All right, so I guess just to rephrase, you would say that even though the economy has gotten better, unemployment is lower, even though there are more stagnant wages, employers are making up for that by bettering the benefits offerings. I
think that's really what we're seeing going on, yes.
All right, fantastic. And then the other area of interest in the benefit space that I have is wellness. So as you, I'm sure, are very well aware, with this decision in the EEOC versus AARP space, kind of made a lot of people feel uncertain about what they could do with financial incentives and wellness programs. I guess, did you see that reflected at all in any of the findings in your survey?
Well, I think in general, not just for the financial incentives piece, but sort of in the wellness space altogether, we're seeing sort of a change from these kind of prescriptive wellness ideas that are targeted at individuals in certain categories, so particularly wellness programs for people with certain health conditions, to a much broader picture of wellness. And one that's much more tailored. And I think that's a reflection of employers' sense of risk given this legal environment. Right. That the financial incentives may be a risky place to go, but there's lots of other things that we can see. So, more activities at work, sort of clubs or fun wellness things.
All right.
Lots of variety in the wellness space.
All right, and I guess, off the top of your head, can you think of some areas of wellness, maybe that's stress relief, anything else, that in which these programs that employers are kind of going towards focus on? So I guess what types of wellness?
We see one thing I thought was kind of notable is an increase in benefits for acupuncture and acupressure.
Interesting.
Which is a kind of unusual thing. And yes, mindfulness in the workplace, access to maybe outside initiatives, but more of them happening in the workplace itself, it appears.
All right. That's really promising. I've never heard of, I haven't heard a lot about acupuncturists in the workplace, but that's unique for
And
sure.
I think some of that is an expansion of healthcare benefits to look at more kinds of wellness. But yes, nonetheless, it's an interesting change in sort of a very traditional picture to one that's much more customized to individuals.
Fantastic, that's so great. Those are all of the questions I have for you for this live video, but I guess, is there anything else on the survey that you think is important that you would like to add?
I don't think there's anything that really stands out on its own. I think the really exciting thing to me was just this picture of change and of customization, because that's really what people want, and that's really a compelling argument for an employee to say, if you come to us, you can have exactly what you need.
Yeah, and it's not just one size fits all. They can, pick something that actually fits with their lifestyle.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Liz,
Thank you.
today. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for talking to Workforce Live today.